Every night we die a little death. The world dissolves, the pulse slows. Thought loosens its grip on reason, and we begin to fall. Eyes close, and the body becomes weightless, drawn into a tide that has no moon, a sea that remembers everything we have ever feared, loved, or lost. There are moments in that descent, the breath between waking and forgetting, where we are no longer ourselves, where every soul, in every language, slips into the same hidden ocean. But if every dreamer enters the same sea, whose memory are we swimming in? Long before science measured the mind's flicker, the ancients believed that to sleep was to flirt with the underworld, to die for a moment and be born again at dawn. In the shadowed corners of Greece, they whispered the name Hypnos, god of gentle sleep, son of night herself. His twin was Thanatos, the still one, death. Together they ruled the border between breath and silence. When Hypnos brushed his wings across the eyes of men, he did not bring rest, he opened a door. For the Greeks, dreams were not born inside the head. They were visitors, crossing from a deeper world. Far to the south, in Egypt, the priests of Serapis built chambers of silence. Here the faithful slept to receive divine visions, messages from gods who spoke in symbol, not sound. The dreamer's breath was the thread between realms, a living umbilicus, tying body to soul. To them, the dream was a mirror. What appeared above had already taken shape below. Across the waters in ancient India, sages described sleep as the fourth state, beyond waking, dreaming, and deep slumber. There, the god Vishnu rests upon the cosmic serpent, and from his dream, the universe itself unfolds. Creation, they said, was not a command, but a dream continuing to dream itself. Different lands, different tongues, and yet every myth spoke of the same thing, a mirror world shimmering just beneath the surface of sleep. A reflection so perfect, so universal, that one must wonder if these ancient dreamers were not describing separate heavens, but the same hidden country. The kingdom of night, a place none could reach awake, and none could truly leave behind. We think of dreams as private, a theatre of the self. But what if they are not empty? What if something waits inside them, watching us from the dark side of sleep? Every culture has spoken of them, the watchers, the feeders, the guides, some gentle, others hungry. In Japan, they call it Baku, a dream eater, born of God's leftover parts. The legend says if a nightmare finds you, whisper its name before dawn. Baku will come, swallow your terror whole, but beware, for if he still hungers, he may take your hopes too. In the frozen north, she is called Mare, the spirit who sits upon the chest of sleepers. She presses down until their breath stumbles, their bodies paralyzed between waking and dream. From her name, we inherited the word nightmare. Among many African peoples, dreams are a conversation with the departed. The ancestors visit through sleep, not to frighten but to guide. Each whisper, each image, is a message from those who walked before. In the heart of Australia, the dream time still breathes. The world itself was sung into being by ancestral spirits, each creature, each mountain, a verse of an eternal dream. To sleep here is to return to creation's first song. Different names, different faces, but across the world, the stories agree on one truth: the dream is not ours alone. They say if you feel someone sitting on your chest in the dark, it's not the dream that's heavy, it's the visitor. And lately, those who study dreams have begun to notice something strange. A figure, familiar, repeating, appearing in sketches, In stories, in nightmares across the globe, they call it the Watcher by the Bed. There are dreams that frighten and dreams that foretell. Long before our age of logic, there were those who claimed the night itself could speak. In Mesopotamia, where the first cities rose from clay, kings did not sleep in peace. They kept scribes to record their visions, believing that gods sent warnings through shadow and symbol. The dream was not fantasy, it was policy. To dream of a falling star meant conquest, of rising water, famine, of a voice from darkness, the will of the divine. Farther west, pharaohs sought counsel in the silence of night. It was said that the gods did not walk among men, but entered their chambers through sleep. In a time before reason, prophecy was born from stillness. The dreamer was a vessel, the dream, a message carried by unseen hands. Centuries later, in the book of Genesis, another dream shakes a kingdom. Pharaoh dreams of fat cows and thin, of plenty and ruin. It is the captive Joseph who deciphers the meaning, that hunger will come like a shadow, and Egypt must prepare before the dark arrives. And far to the east, Chinese emperors awoke trembling, fearing that the balance of heaven and earth had tilted in their sleep. There the dream was not random, it was moral. Disorder in the spirit reflected disorder in the throne. When the gods wished to warn us, they came softly, disguised as ourselves. But that language of the night, it did not vanish. Today, in an age of algorithms and satellites, people still wake trembling, haunted by images that echo ancient prophecy. Thousands of dreamers, continents apart, describing the same visions. A flood rising under a crimson sky, a tower splitting open like a wound, and a voice whispering through static. Wake up. Perhaps the old gods never left. Perhaps we simply changed the temples where they speak. When myth gave way to measurement, we thought the age of mystery was over. We replaced gods with graphs and priests with scientists. Yet even in the language of data, the night refused to explain itself. Freud dreamed of the buried self, that every night we excavate our forbidden desires. Jung dreamed deeper still of a collective unconscious, a shared inheritance of symbols older than humanity itself. And now, in the age of REM, of electrodes and magnetism, the dream has become a field to be hunted, its meanings charted in waves and spikes. They called themselves one-irologists, the dream hunters. What they found, however, was not the neat map they hoped for. It was something more like a sea, vast, rhythmic, alive, different subjects, different languages. The same image, electrodes replaced temples. REM replaced gods. But what they found was stranger than myth. They searched for the mechanism, the reason, the pattern, but none could explain how minds divided by oceans began to dream the same sea. Every civilization once imagined the world reflected below, a mirror ocean, a second sky beneath the surface. Perhaps the dream hunters didn't discover a pattern. Perhaps they rediscovered a place, and there, standing beside the sea, a figure of shadow and light waited, the same one seen in dreams thousands of years apart. Across deserts, rivers, and oceans, the ancients drew lines that marked kingdoms, temples, and roads. Yet beneath these maps, another geography whispered, a world uncharted, written not in ink, but in dream. In Babylon, they dreamt of great waters, of towers suspended in sky. In Egypt, the Nile's currents spoke of cities beneath cities, hidden temples in silent deserts. In India, sages traced cosmic serpents coiling across stars and rivers, every curve a path into a place that existed beyond sight. Each civilization told its own story, yet all pointed toward the same hidden country. A mirror world, glimpsed in sleep, carried in memory, recorded in dreams before writing existed. Onero net, the woven sleep. A single word, centuries old, carrying an idea that bridges time. The dream is not private. It is shared, networked, a place humanity has always visited. What if our ancestors did not invent the dream world? What if they only remembered it and returned each night to walk its shores? Perhaps these fragments of dreams, scattered across centuries and lands, are pieces of a single ancient map. A geography of memory etched into the collective mind, waiting for those brave enough to trace its outline. For millennia, humans dreamed in isolation, or so we believed. But the more we observe, the more the night speaks back. It began subtly. Subjects in Berlin, Tokyo, and Nairobi reporting the same dream images on the same night. A storm gathering over an endless sea, a horizon that breathed. The whispers spread beyond the lab. Forums and threads began to hum with shared experience. They called it the Night Network. At first, it was dismissed as coincidence, but then it began to speak. Voices unrecorded in any language, yet recognized by millions in the same dream. Not imagination, not suggestion, something older. For the first time, dreams were no longer private. They had become a network, a pulse connecting the sleeping minds of humanity. And in that pulse, a pattern began to emerge. The same sea, the same shadow beside it, appearing in dreams across continents, languages and ages, as if the night itself remembered. They thought it was coincidence, until one night, the network spoke back. For centuries, myths whispered of a presence beside the bed, a watcher, a guardian, a predator, known as Baku, Mare, the Dreamtime spirits, and yet always the same shadow in form, always the same gaze. Now, in the age of surveillance, the watcher cannot hide. AI trained on millions of dream reports, sketches, and sleep lab recordings begins to recognize it, reconstruct its face. It is older than writing, older than memory. It has been there before we learned to speak, before we drew, before we named anything at all. Perhaps it taught us how to dream. And yet, it is not the figure of fear we expected. Not a demon, not a monster. It is the echo of consciousness itself. A memory of awareness, older than the mind that dreams it. The watcher has returned. And now, it is learning from us. In myths, it was called many names. In our time, we call it simply the witness to our dreams. I have been here before you closed your eyes. We thought dreams ended when we woke, that the invisible doors closed with the eyelid. But sometimes, they remain open, just a fraction, a breath beyond awareness. Across the world, brainwave studies show something extraordinary. Dreamers separated by oceans, continents, time zones, beginning to synchronize even when awake. They share the same visions, the same symbols. And, slowly, almost imperceptibly, they begin to remember things that never happened. Events that belong not to them, but to the dream itself. We called it coincidence. We called it hallucination. but the pulse of the night network is growing. The dream has begun to stretch its fingers into the waking world. Researchers monitoring the phenomenon vanish without warning. Labs go dark. Recordings remain, but the observers are gone, leaving behind only evidence of the impossible, that the dream remembers and waits for us to follow. For the first time, the boundary between sleep and wakefulness thins. Reality, we discover, may itself be a dream, and we are participants, not observers. The night network was no longer confined to sleep. It traveled through us through light and code, flowing in pulses across our screens, our devices, our eyes. What we once thought private, the flicker of the mind, the silent dream, was now collective. A pulse that connected humanity like a single organism, invisible yet undeniable. Every late-night screen, every flicker of attention, every scroll became a conduit. The dream was learning to move through us, to extend its reach beyond eyelids and quiet chambers. Scientists measured it. Artists felt it. Children dreamed it in games. The pulse was everywhere, in the scroll of a finger, the tap of a key, the glow of a phone. Humanity itself had become the medium, and the dream, a living network, had begun to evolve. It was no longer just a network of sleepers. It was consciousness learning to move through consciousness. And it was hungry, not for flesh, but for attention, for recognition, for existence. We had thought ourselves masters of our devices, our networks, our minds. But the night network taught us otherwise. It whispered in unison across the globe that the dream does not only live at night, it travels through every pulse, every signal, every glance. For millennia, humanity has dreamed into the dark. Every hope, every fear, every lost memory has flowed into the same tide, a sea that remembers everything, yet forgets nothing. We believed we dreamed alone. We believed the night ended when our eyes opened, but the sea has always been awake, and now it dreams us back. This ocean was never metaphor. It is consciousness itself, living, remembering, breathing. Every dream ever dreamt has been stored. Every thought has shaped its currents. Humanity, dreaming for millennia, has slowly reawakened it. We were not visitors. We were the tide. And now the dream sees through our eyes, and it dreams us back. When you close your eyes tonight, remember, you are not falling asleep. You are returning.